Hello, everybody. I'm gonna make a Chiv 2 tier list based off the beta. This is not to be taken seriously. After playing some Chiv 2, I just decided I think I'm gonna keep playing it, and I wanted to make a tier list. One, for fun, because it's fun to make tier lists, and two, because I kind of wanted to give my opinion, my first impressions, I should say, on the balance between the classes. So this isn't an expert opinion. I was able to play every single class except for the Skirmisher over the course of the beta, and I have a pretty rough idea of, at least a decently rough idea of where most of the classes stand. But this is just first impressions. Please feel free to disagree with me. Tell me what you think in the comments, and I will mark this as outdated as soon as the actual game comes out, assuming they make changes to the balance when the game comes out, which I'm assuming they will. Anyways, jumping right into it, I'm gonna skip the archer line at first, and we'll go right into the melee classes. First up, we have the Devastator, which I'm going to put right into B tier. The Devastator has decent two-handed weapons, but the HP, like the raw stats on the class aren't the best, and the Devastator himself has Firepot. And Firepot's good, it's just not amazing. And also, it's really only good on defense. On offense, you can still pull off good Firepots, but a good Firepot is just going to kill a couple guys, and that'll be it, at most. But on defense, a good Firepot will kill a couple guys, and then also buy your whole team like a bunch of extra, not a bunch, but like 10, 15 extra seconds time to defend, because you can throw it right at a choke point on like not half, but on a couple of the objectives. So Firepot is situationally good, but it's not always going to be super good. And on top of that, the class itself is decent in combat, but all these sort of classes are weak to range attacks, and the melee weapons aren't insane. That being said, I will say the Maul or Sledgehammer, whatever, is amazing. If you if you want to just mindlessly throw heavy attacks on the front line, the Maul is the way to go. Not that should be a really rewarding playstyle, but if you are going to do it, I love the Maul. I pick up the Maul every time I can see it, so probably a B class. Coming up next, we have the Raider. I'm going to put the Raider in A. The Raider has the two melee weapons, and now I think the idea behind this is just that you switch out melee weapons depending on the class you're fighting against, so you can always have an optimal matchup. However, I honestly just grabbed two Messers, whatever you want to pronounce it, and I think that's what a lot of people are doing. They would just grab two of their favorite weapons, that way they can throw it and still have one. But if you wanted to mix it up, you can. I will say the Messer doesn't have a very good leaping attack. At least I don't like it, so you might use one to charge in and then switch back to your preferred weapon after that. But the saving grace of the class is that it has Horn, and Horn's probably the best ability in the game. In my opinion, like by far. The best healing ability and best ability overall. I'll talk about Banner and the medkit in a sec, but Horn, like, there are so many times where you're losing momentum on a push. You have like 5-6 guys with you pop Horn and you just clean house. It's so super strong. I almost want to put him in S tier, but there's just a better way to get Horn, which we'll talk about it soon. So he's gonna go in A tier for me. This is also definitely my favorite class. I played the most in the beta, but so I'm gonna put him in A. Next we have the Ambusher. Ambushers go straight into D tier. So people might get mad at me about this, but first off, Quiver is probably the worst ability in the game. Terrible weapons. The stats, like the other ones, aren't too great. HP and whatnot, they're not bad. And then the big problem is someone's gonna say, "Oh, but you could just one-shot people in the back with a dagger." One, you kind of can't. I think if you get a headshot, you may be able to one-shot some of the classes. But two, getting behind people isn't reliable. Like, there's no like smoke bombs. You're not like teleporting or whatever. And two, if you're already behind someone, you've already just won that fight. You don't need to specialize in killing people from behind, when literally every single melee class can just do it anyways. They might just do it in 2 hits when you have 1 hit. The only difference is if the guy turns around, and you can even always do it in 1 hit, and you're just better in combat in general anyways, so you could still do good with the Ambusher. I did, but they're probably the worst class in the beta so far. Moving on to the Footman, we first have the Poleman, giving people the shaft. I'm going to put him in B. We'll talk about the medkit first, because that's what they all have. The medkit isn't that good. Between the 3 healing abilities, the medkit's probably the worst, which is kind of dumb because the Footmen are kind of supposed to be like the medics, sort of. But the truth is, with both banner, assuming you have a decent banner and horn, they're just gonna output way more healing than you ever will with medkits. And also, medkits you can like miss. Someone could bump into it while you're throwing at someone, so it's not great. So honestly, it's a pretty not great ability. But I will say the polemen have pole arms, which actually make them pretty useful. In team fights, you can just sit behind your tankier classes and you can just poke damage at people, get picks, hit people who are on the ground crawling away, which that actually means that they do have a lot to contribute. They're just not the best, but you still definitely want some on your team with those longer range melee attacks. So I'm going to put them in solid in B. Men-at-Arms I'm going to put into C. I actually also really like the Men-at-Arms, one of the classes I played a lot too, but the truth of the matter is they just don't offer much. Again, medkit, not great. And the kind of way I think that you want to actually play Men-at-Arms, you kind of want to actually play it as a tank, but instead of being always taking damage, blocking it, and whatnot, you kind of just want to be pulling aggro. So the one really good thing I think the Men-at-Arms is good at is dodging around, being really mobile on the front line, or in those kind of melee fights. So the best thing you could probably do is pull people away. You want to actually take on multiple people and play really passively, dodge around a lot, get some hits in here or there with your sword, or whatever weapon you have, and then maybe work your way back to other teammates when you can, which is useful, and you can do good with him. Again, C is not like a bad tier, it's just very situational, you don't want a lot of them. But there's other classes I feel like can play like kind of like tank shield role better, and also can fight better, and also have better healing and so whatnot. So I'm going to put them in C. Then we also have the combat NG, or the field NG, which is going to go right into C as well. First off, the melee weapons aren't very good. In fact, when I just started playing the beta, every time someone came at me as an NG, I literally thought they just picked up some random garbage on the map because their weapons are so bad. So yeah. And also, in addition to that, you really only can use them on defense. You could probably find good ways to use them on offense, but you really just want to put those buildings in a choke and kind of try to create situationally advantageous spots for your teammates to fight in, for them to throw fire pots and whatnot. So yeah, definitely still not terrible. C to me is not terrible. You just don't want a lot of them. Maybe you do want one or two NGs on your team out of like the 30 guys, just to clog up objectives and make it harder for them to all push in at once. But you definitely don't want a lot of them. Moving on to the knight class. First, we have the officer, and the officer is easy S tier by far. He has the horn, which is the best ability in the game in my opinion. So much more healing than I think the banner and definitely the medkit. And his melee weapons and his stats are still decent. You have decent weapons, very tanky, so you can stay alive a lot. Officers are so good. You always want a bunch of them. You can just only thing you have to worry about is stacking horns with other teammates. You don't want to do that because you kind of waste them. But so many fights, I was officers on front line. I'd have like 5-6 guys, and we're getting close to grabbing an objective. Maybe we're like bashing the banner in or something like that, or like just pushing the ram the last inch it needs to go to hit the wall, and we'd be losing momentum. And you pop a horn, and everyone's good to go. And so, again, that's why I put this other class in A, because it also has the horn. It's just, I think this guy, even though I like playing this one more, his stats and his weapon choices, I think, are just slightly better. Next up, we have the Guardian. Guardian is pretty good. He's also got the banner, but I'm going to put him in A tier. Two reasons. One, banner isn't as good as the horn, in my opinion. Now, potentially, you could get more healing out of the banner. But the problem is, if you're on offense, you're going to want to push ahead of the banner anyways. And if you're on defense, you either put the banner up front, and then the second you lose any ground, you lose your banner, or you put it kind of back behind some cover, which I think is a better play, and it's more useful, but then you're maybe slowly over time going to build up those points of healing, whereas the horn just gets you a bunch right up front, as long as you use it in the right situation, but those right situations happen like all the time. So the banner isn't as good as the horn in my opinion, but you still want some. Definitely having at least one is pretty good for people to back off to. And the officer himself, or excuse me, the Guardian himself, the one-handed weapon with the shield combo that he has, I think is actually kind of decent. I do like it. The other problem is that his shield will break over time, and there's no good way to replenish his shield. So his kind of role as like a frontline tank, you probably put the banner behind you and you sit in the front line and just take damage, get blocks, build up your next banner, is even limited because your shield's going to break. So you can't even be fully effective on the front line for that long. But he's still pretty good, and the banner is still strong, so I'm going to still keep him in A tier. Last off, we have the Crusader, who's got some big boy weapons. But he's also got a fire pot. And again, you notice also the Devastator is also the other person with the fire pot who I'm putting in B tier. Fire pot's good. It's just most of the time I'd rather have healing. And I'd really only want to take fire pots on defense. They can still definitely be useful on offense. They're just way more useful on defense. He's still a very good class. You still probably want some. You definitely, especially if you're on defense, you definitely want some fire pots. But I just don't think you're going to get as much value with him as playing any of the other classes that have those big healing abilities and can play on the front line. Anyways, moving on to the archers. Again, I didn't play the Skirmisher. I'll get to that last. The Longbowman, I think I'm going to put in A tier. Now, I was thinking about maybe putting him in S tier, and if you had a really good Longbowman, he'd definitely be able to. And I was able to front like top the leaderboards with Longbowman a couple times. The only problem is, I feel like I could still just do more if I'm equally skilled at archery and melee combat. I feel like I could just accomplish more if I was like an officer or like a Devastator or whatever, just fighting on the front lines and popping big heals. With that being said, you still definitely want a bunch of archers. Their Brazier, which is like their unique ability, is good. Not as good as the healing ones, but especially if you're working together with another archer or two, and you can keep one up all the time, because one person uses one, and then when it's out, the next person uses one, so on and so on. You can do a lot of damage. You definitely do want a bunch of archers on your class, so I'm going to put them in A tier. Some people might disagree with me with that, but yeah. Up next is the Crosswoman, and I'm going to actually also put the Crosswoman in A tier. I think he's worse than the Archer, but he has the banner, the healing banner, which definitely saves him a lot. The healing banner, again, is not as good as the Horn, but still very strong, and he's going to be putting it in the back line, which is sort of probably where you want at least one banner, so people can fall back when they're low, heal up, maybe grab supplies and whatnot, and then push forward. The only problem why I think he's worse than the Archer is I think the Crossbow is just worse than the Longbow. The Crossbow might be better in certain situations where you're shooting at specific targets and you want to actually get a kill because it does do more damage. The only problem is I don't really feel like that's what you want to be doing. I feel like you'd rather do a lot of decent damage hits than a couple slightly bigger ones, if that makes any sense. When I'm playing a Longbowman, there's so many times where someone's running away and I always have an arrow to shoot at them and finish them off. I can be a lot more mobile and have multiple arrows, sending off multiple arrows, so if someone's charging me, I can get off multiple arrows while backstepping and then take out my melee weapon. With a crossbow, yes, you could do more damage, and that might occasionally get you kills where the Archer wouldn't, but there are so many times where I just need to have the higher rate of fire, and I just can't do that with a crossbow because someone's running to cover, some guy's charging me, some guy's only exposed and I could have gotten multiple shots off with the bow instead of the crossbow. But the healing banner is also super strong, so I can understand why you would want to do Crosswoman over archers. It's kind of a personal preference. And then we have the Skirmisher. I didn't play the Skirmisher, but I certainly killed a bunch, and I'm going to put them in C tier. Reason being, one, they have the quiver kind of special ability, which just refills ammo, just like the Ambusher, and that's really bad. It's just probably the worst ability in the game right now, because you can just literally walk to an ammo box. Ammo boxes are really convenient. They're often placed literally right on objective, if not they're like 5 seconds away. And even if you're a class that would benefit a lot from having the quiver, I don't see how you would want the quiver over literally any other ability. Maybe not Brazier if you're not an archer, but besides that, I'd probably rather have medikits, and I'd absolutely rather have Horn, Banner, Firebomb, whatever. And in addition to that, so the whole idea behind the Skirmisher is that you are a melee class that can throw their melee weapon multiple times. The javelins are pretty good. Javelins aren't the only option, but javelins are pretty good. And I will say, they have you get nice pokes, and you can also throw them. So they're not skirmishers are not useless. And in fact, if you're in like a little fight, maybe like a 4v4 or 5v5, and the enemy team has an archer, a skirmisher is probably a good way to counter that, because you have a shield, you can put pressure on the archer at range, and then you probably still have some ammo to attack people on the front line, help your front line out, and maybe some guys running away, you can throw a javelin at them, do big damage. It's pretty good. So the skirmisher is still a good class. I just probably wouldn't use all my archer slots on them. Maybe I would just use one if I had a choice between that. But yeah. Anyways, that's my opinions. Again, let me know, especially let me know about the skirmisher if you think I'm wrong, because that was the only class I didn't have a chance to play. And I will upload this. I'll put it as outdated. Oh, I also got all these screenshotted from a certain video of a different YouTuber. I'll put the link to that video in the description. Just because I totally forgot to record the create a class or the pick a class screen. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. I'll list this as outdated. Maybe we'll make some more content. Definitely gonna make some more content in Chiv 2 because I've got a lot of opinions on it. Go ahead and sub if you want some more videos like this. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Y'all have a good night.